one of my favorite poems, Major Jackson's Mighty Pawns. So here we are, week 6, Monday for Monday's class, and here are some poems. Let's pull it up. Mighty Pawns. Hey, I know some of you. We've been reading a lot of sad poems, a lot of weepers, a lot of brutal poems. Langston Hughes' "Song for a Dark Girl's" brutal. Cornelius Eady's, Emmett Till's "Glass Top Casket" refers to some brutal things. This poem, on the flip side, I think, although it has some difficult moments, I think it's a quite positive poem. I think this is a powerful poem, a poem of resilience and hard work and belief. Mighty Pawns. Think of this title. If any of you play chess, what's a pawn? We have this juxtaposition, maybe an oxymoron here. A mighty pawn. A pawn in chess is the lowest piece, right? However, it does a lot of work. Mighty pawns. I always ask this question as well when I read this poem. How many of you play chess? To play chess well, what do you have to do? You have to think many moves ahead. The character, the hero of this poem, Earl, a young African American boy, he's thinking many moves ahead. So we're gonna read the poem, and then we'll have Major Jackson read the poem, then talk about it. As I mentioned in discussion boards, this poem's a monostick, where it's one long sentence. There's no period breaks. This is one long sentence to the end. If I told you Earl, the toughest kid on my block in North Philadelphia, bow legged and ominous, could beat any man or woman in 10 moves playing white, or that he traveled to Yugoslavia to frustrate the bearded masters at the Belgrade Chess Association, you'd think I was given to hyperbole. And if at dinner time I took you into the faint light of his Section 8 home reeking of onions, liver, and gravy, his 6 little brothers fighting on a broken love seat for room in front of a cracked flat screen, one whose diaper sags, it's a wonder it hasn't fallen to his ankles, the walls behind doors exposing the sheetrock, the perfect oval of a handle, and the slats of stairs missing where baby boy gets stuck trying to ascend to a dominion foreign to you and me, with its loud timbales and drums blasting down from the closed room of his cousin, whose mother stands on a corner on the other side of town all times of day and night, except when her relief check arrives at the beginning of the month. You'd get a better picture of Earl's ferocity, after school, on the board in Mr. Sherman's class, but not necessarily when he stands near you at a downtown bus stop in a jacket a size too small, hunching his shoulders around his ears, as you imagine the checkered squares of his poverty and anger, and pray he does not turn his precise gaze too long in your direction for fear he blames you and proceeds to take your queen. Here is Jackson reading the poem.
The toughest kid on my block in North Philadelphia, bow-legged and ominous, could beat any man or woman in 10 moves playing white, or that he traveled to Yugoslavia to frustrate the bearded masters at the Belgrade Chess Association. You'd think I was given to hyperbole. And if at dinner time I took you into the faint light of his Section 8 home, reeking of onions, liver, and gravy, his 6 little brothers fighting on a broken love seat for room in front of a cracked flat screen, one whose diaper sags, it's a wonder it hasn't fallen to his ankles, and the walls behind doors exposing sheetrock, the perfect O of a handle, and the slats of stairs missing where baby boy gets stuck trying to ascend to a dominion foreign to you and me, with its loud timbales and drums blasting down from the closed room of his cousin, whose mother stands on a corner on the other side of town all times of day and night, except when her relief check arrives at the beginning of the month. You'd get a better picture of Earl's ferocity after school on the board in Mr. Sherman's class, but not necessarily when he stands near you at a downtown bus stop, a jacket size too small, hunching his shoulders around his ears as you imagine the checkered squares of his poverty and anger, and pray he does not turn his precise gaze too long in your direction for fear he blames you and proceeds to take your queen.
I really love this poem. Let's walk through it. Who's the speaker? The speaker is like Earl's friend, right? If I told you, Earl, if I told you, well, he's gonna tell us, right? And let's look at Earl here. If I told you, he's telling us, Earl, the toughest kid on my block in North Philadelphia. So Earl is tough. Earl has two things, right? Don't we usually think of people as having either book smarts or street smarts or whatever those two things mean? Earl is not only the toughest kid on the block in North Philadelphia, he's smart, bow-legged and ominous. Ominous, there's this dangerous look about him. Could be any man or woman in 10 moves playing white. So this is what he can do in chess. He can be any man or woman in 10 moves playing white. Or that he traveled to Yugoslavia to frustrate the bearded masters at the Belgrade Chess Association. What the hell is Earl doing in Yugoslavia? Right? How did he get there? He probably won some type of scholarship at school, from school chess. You'd think I was given to hyperbole. You would think I was. What's when something's hyperbolic? Overstatement, gross exaggeration. Because why? When you close your eyes and you think of like a chess master, someone who's great at chess, who do you picture? Not Earl, right? You got Earl, this tough black kid from North Philadelphia. He's a chess master. You'd think I was given to hyperbole. I'm going to tell you about Earl. And this is a great stretch here. This tells us so much. We have from, and right here, this whole section where the speaker, who's Earl's friend, he's been over Earl's place. And if I took you, and if at dinner time I took you into the faint light, well, I'm going to take you into the faint light of Earl's Section 8 home. So we know where Earl lives at, right? In a lower income place. Reeking of onions, liver, and gravy. Think of the sensory details. His 6 little brothers fighting on a broken love seat for room. We have the cracked flat screen TV, the diaper who's sagging, baby boy, the cousin who's beating on the drums, loud timbales and drums blasting down. What's this home environment like for Earl? And I always think too, to be great at chess, what must you do? You must practice. To be great at school, what do you must do? You must study. You must have, think of what it's like to study, to practice chess in this chaotic environment. It's noisy, it's loud, it's chaos. And Earl's able to drown all that out and focus. He's driven. I love Earl. Earl's like a hero. He shows resilience. He's in this situation, and think of this. I hate stereotypes or cliches. Think of the ways to get out of this bad environment. What's usually the ways a person, if we look at the cliche movies, sports or music, right? Entertainment industry, sports. Earl's going the other route. What colleges, universities have chess programs? Ivy Leagues, the great schools. Earl has a plan, right? And he's sticking to this plan. He knows chess and academics are going to be his way out of this environment. And this is the environment here. The cousin whose mother stands on the corner at the other side of town all times of day or night. We know what she's doing. She's hooking, right? Except when her relief check arrives at the beginning of the month. So that's Earl's home life there. This just chaotic environment, and he's able to focus, to zoom in and concentrate on chess and school. You'd get a better picture of Earl's ferocity after school on the board in Mr. Sherman's class. Why is Earl so ferocious? Why is he taking this ferocity and channeling it into chess, into school? Also, where's Earl at after school? Again, another cliche stereotype in a rougher area. Most students, and what's Earl? What is he, a sophomore, senior in high school? Most students might be running the streets, getting into trouble, Earl's after school, he's still in school, putting in work on the board in Mr. Sherman's class, right? You know, when you look at Earl's philosophy there, what he's channeling. I love this ending though, but not necessarily when he stands near you at a downtown bus stop in a jacket a size too small. Why is this jacket a size too small? He gets hand-me-downs, right, from the older siblings. They can't afford new clothes. Hunching his shoulders around his ears, as you imagine the checkered squares of his poverty and anger. Why is he so angry? And pray he does not turn his precise gaze too long in your direction, for fear he blames you and proceeds to take your queen. What's happening there at the end? What's that? When you lose your queen in chess, pretty much game over, right? What this means at the end, don't stare at Earl too long, right? Don't look at Earl too long because he'll beat your ass. If he can, that's what it means by takes your, he'll beat you. He'll beat you up. Not only will Earl beat you up, he's the toughest kid on the block. He's smarter than, he's better at chess. He's better at school. He has these two things going for him. He has that going for him. So this poem, A Mighty Pawn. Think of the valences, the different meanings, nuances of this title too. Who are the pawns in the country? Poor people, disadvantaged, minorities, people who are forgotten about. They're inconsequential. Earl, though, is a mighty pawn, right? This poem, in a monostitch, one sentence, shows all of Earl's talents, anger, resiliency. This poem is an homage to Earl's greatness, right? And what he will one day accomplish. Because if he can get out of here, there are only great things in Earl's future.